talk on healthy eating and children because I think there is a huge problem with child obesity. And I see this in my daughter's school, at her gymnastics, swimming, just walking through the mall, grocery shopping. And I think that, as parents, that we can always do better and that we lead by example. I truly believe that our children mimic our behaviors. So whether good or bad, they watch exactly what we're doing, and naturally, they will do what you are doing. So for some of you who may not know this, I have a child who is on the autism spectrum. And if any of you are, familiar with kids who are on the spectrum, you will know that one thing that is a very common characteristic is that they are extreme picky eaters. So this is something that I really struggled with being in the fitness and health industry, and living such a healthy lifestyle myself, was watching my kid only want to eat like five foods. That's it. It didn't matter. Debra, you're waving, you can relate. It did, like, it doesn't matter what you tell them, what you put in front of them, they will only eat those five foods. And that was my reality for a really, really long time. And I used to cry because I love, color on my plate and I love healthy food. And just sitting there watching her every day eat her grilled cheese sandwich for breakfast, I was like, what the, like, this cannot be my reality. I need to change this. I'm not going to accept that the doctors and the therapists that we were working with said, it is what it is. You're going to have to pick and choose your battles. I'm like, okay, well, this is a battle that I am going to choose to change. So I worked really, really hard. This did not happen overnight. It actually took years um, of me reinforcing certain behaviors for myself and for her. And eventually we overcame that. And eventually she started to want to try new foods and was more open to trying new foods and healthy foods. So, um, one thing that I did, which doctors and therapists said, just do it with your child. Let her have whatever she wants because you want her to eat as opposed to not eating. So something that I actually did was I would sit down with my food, which was very different than a grilled cheese sandwich every day. And I let her just watch me eat my colorful plate every single day. And after 2 years, she said, Mommy, can I try? And that was like my world had just exploded. Like my heart with happiness exploded. And, um, you know, I just really believe that if you want to change something, whether it's for yourself and your own health, or for your children, you can. But it takes a lot of hard work and it takes a lot of consistency. And so I share on my story, if anyone follows me on social media, I always share my daughter's breakfast and her snacks. And it's not to be like, oh, look at me and look what I'm feeding my kid and I'm so great. It's really just to give other mothers ideas of healthy options, healthy alternatives for breakfast, lunch, dinners, and snacks, that are pretty quick and efficient because I also don't have a lot of time. And I know that that's something where a lot of mothers will say, I don't have a lot of time on my hands. I can't, spend 2 hours every day cooking these gourmet meals. And I'm like, well, I don't even know how to cook these gourmet meals. So yes, it's about time, but it's also about efficiency for me. And so if you want to help your child change their behaviors, because I know everybody on this call or who's going to watch this video is trying to do better to live a healthy lifestyle for themselves, but we also want our children to do the same. So, does anybody on the call have something where, they may be struggling with personally in terms of your children not wanting to eat healthy foods?
Hi, Rima, how are you?
Hi, Dina.
Hi. Hey, I have a quick question and I'm hoping that maybe you can help me out. So I have like two boys. My first boy is super healthy, spinach and rice, anything I put for him, he'll eat. I have my second one. And like in my house, like right now, I could tell you what I have that's junk. Like I have like, cookies for a snack and I may have like two sets of cookies. That's it. Okay. My youngest one, who is 9, refuses to eat the food that we have. So he'll make hummus sandwich. So that's his new thing is hummus. He'll eat it every day, 3 times a day to get full, just so he won't eat the dinner that we present for him. And I'm struggling with it because he just got diagnosed with ADD. And so like I know what I need to do. He's just not doing it. And like I watch your videos and I'm looking and I'm like, I have healthy options. Like our food is not healthy, you know? And I know I'm like I sometimes I cry. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And so now his new thing is kiwi. I have him eat kiwi with everything. So he likes kiwi now. It's a new thing, but like we tried and it's not working. And so now he's living off hummus and bread.
Okay, so the one thing I'm going to say is that our kids are a lot smarter than we are, and we need to outsmart them because they know that you are eventually going to give in. They know, and they will play you. And this is something, again, for years that I went through. And they'll say, no, I'm not eating. No, I'm going to starve. But your kid will never starve. And so you have to you have to stand your ground. Like you have to put it there and say this is your only option. And if they don't eat it, that's fine. Tomorrow or the next day they are going to eat it.
Mhm,
That's something that I did with her that eventually it did work. There are a lot of other things that you can do. So for example, for me, taking her to the grocery store and allowing her to choose what she wanted. Obviously, we're not going down the cookie aisle, but saying,
mhm,
look at all of this fruit, all of these vegetables. Like
mhm,
there is something there that is going to entice them and allowing them to choose what they want. Help allowing them to prepare food in the kitchen with you. Like I have her come into the kitchen with me sometimes and we'll make food fun. So she goes through like phases of this is the only fruit I like to eat. And so we'll make like melon balls or I don't know, we'll cut them into like fun shapes like hearts and then
mhm.
he's more open to eating things. So I think having like you have to use different tactics with your kid. And if something doesn't work, that's fine. Try something else, but give it some time. Don't like every day, okay, we're going to do something different. And I think that he'll be more open to maybe like if he feels like he's in control, as opposed to you just telling him you have to eat this, like you're going to eat what everybody else is eating, but allow him, like give him options, let him choose, let him go grocery shopping, let him cook with you, let him, make his own choices.
Mhm. Thank
Um,
you.
Dina, I like Rima, but I have grown children now, and my kids, my eldest is on the spectrum as well, and she went through phases where, well, even now as an adult, it's kind of funny. Food can't touch. We've always had to have like the special plates where there was partitioned off, even as she gets older. Like even now, no condiments, God forbid. And we went through a long phase where we only ate beige foods on this day. We only ate red foods on this day. So a red food day would have been like strawberries, raspberries, um, melon, salmon, because I convinced her that it was part of the red family because it's pink. And then we called it pink chicken. So I, I'm also not from the era of gentle parenting. I'll be straight up.
Me
And
neither. So I like that.
Okay, so there were rules in our house, and the rules were you can choose like Rima said, but this is what you're getting. I want cereal for dinner. Then you're not having dinner. Well, the crying, whatever, going upstairs into her room, having her tantrums, and her little sister looking at me kind of like, just fucking let her have what she wants because to keep the peace. But I was told by her doctors, you have to set boundaries. You have to be strict with her because my daughter's is gifted too. Like she's really a smart girl. And slowly, like Rima said, I got her to start cooking. It started with chopping cucumbers. That's how
Hmm.
I got her to eat green. I let her use a knife. You're gonna let me use a knife? I was like, what the hell? I don't care anymore. So using the knife and using things, and it it actually worked its way into her having a pretty good palate. Now, she's 34 now. If you suggest a food, like if you were to put ketchup on a hamburger, she'd have a meltdown. She would literally have a meltdown as a 34-year-old woman with a phenomenal career. But, you know, she got through it. And I think sometimes parents are really afraid to put their foot down and let the kids go hungry. They're not going to die. We have enough food.
And I should have prefaced by saying that like I honestly don't think that there's any kid on the planet who loves sugar more than mine. I will say.
Oh,
Like if
fine.
you if you allow her to eat cookies and cereal and candy all day long, she will. But I obviously don't do that. I, control what she has. She still has treats often. I do not deprive her. Like I'm not, on the flip side where it's like she can never have sugar. She definitely has treats all the time, but I do try to really make food fun and enjoyable. So if they are choosing what they're eating, like there's a few examples that I have where I know other parents have been like, oh my God, this has been life changing. So I'm not going to take credit for the first one because Mal actually gave me this idea um, of crushing up berries and adding honey instead of using store-bought jam. So store-bought jam has tons of sugar. A lot of them have like tons of crap in there, but just using crushed berries and raw honey and the sweetness. And so that's great on toast or making French toast even. Um, that's something that my kid has like recently fallen in love with. And I'm like, okay, cool. You can have that like every day if you want. Another thing that I was doing for her was I would make her a shake and we would call it ice cream. And one day I thought, I'm going to be sneaky and I'm going to throw some spinach in here. And she noticed right away. She noticed because she could see that the shake was green. And she was like, absolutely not. I'm not drinking this. It's disgusting before she even had a sip. So what I did was I put it in a colored cup with a colored straw and she could no longer see the color of the shake and she drank it and she loved it and it was delicious. And you can throw a million healthy ingredients in there. You can call it a smoothie, you can call it ice cream, you can call it whatever you want, but they will drink it or eat it because it's delicious. As long as sometimes, if your kid's like mine, they can't see that it's green because that color turns a lot of kids off for some reason.
Kids are very sensory, so it's good that you brought that up because kids also texture. Texture is a huge one for kids. And I thought my daughter was actually very lazy because she didn't want to chew. And this is maybe something that you want to check too. I didn't realize she had kissing tonsils.
Oh.
And the the I said the ENT said to me, "What does she eat?" And I said, "Honestly, chicken soup and matzo balls. That's it. That's all my kid will eat." It was beige. It was just beige. I figured it was just because of beige. She would not eat anything else. She was 2.5, 3, and he looked at her mouth and he said, "It would be lethal for her to try to chew and swallow something. She has kissing tonsils. They're cutting off her airway." And the reason why we went to one is because she had sleep apnea. So once once that was cleared away, it actually made it better. Like there was no choking. I actually thought she was just being dramatic when she would like gag and choke. Nice mom, huh? But if if your son doesn't like texture, like a hummus sandwich sounds like he likes highly palatable food that just melts in his mouth.
Yep. Um, okay. I don't know where she went, but so again, just being like really creative with your foods and allowing them to be part of the process in terms of making choices and helping them to feel empowered. I think was something that really, really helped my daughter and myself because I'm happy when she's eating healthy. In terms of snacking, this is something that I see a lot and it really upsets me. I'm going to say drives me crazy, but upsets me because I see a lot of these children, who are obese and, after a gymnastics class, like the mom's whipping out a bear paw or a Twinkie or whatever it is. And I know that it's really quick and it's easy and it's mindless to just grab something out of a pack. But I think that if we really truly love our children and want the best for them, that we have to do a little bit better and go that extra mile and, prep ahead, plan ahead, like the same way that you all are prepping your meals. Prep your kids snacks. Take a snack box. With I bought this pink snack box that has many different compartments in it, and I pack tons of things in there every time I know that we're going to be out for a few hours, like fruit, nuts, um, hard-boiled eggs, things that they could just grab and eat. And then I'll always throw a treat in there. So I find that if I'm packing like, 7 healthy snacks and like one little cookie, but I say to her, like, you have to eat your healthy food first. That's always my thing. She will eat everything. And I'm happy because she just ate all of her cucumbers and her strawberries and her blueberries and her egg and her turkey sticks. And then she's having a little cookie as opposed to just having a bag of bear paws or whatever it is that parents feed their kids. Um, Deborah or Mal, do you guys have any clients who have expressed their struggles in terms of healthy eating or healthy eating with their kids?
Um, I have, yes, and I'm sure Mal has too. I just will quickly say that in the beginning with some clients, the first thing they would say to me is, look, I can't do this meal plan because my kids won't eat this, and I have to cook for the family, and I'm not cooking 3 different meals. And I, you know, uh, obviously try to validate and make them feel better, but my goal was always to get them to think, well, why aren't your kids eating healthy? This is
I
whole
was gonna
food.
say that. Yeah.
These are
Hmm.
whole foods. Like
Hmm.
you're making chicken, make chicken for your kid, and there's nothing wrong with your son or daughter or both having barbecue sauce on the side. Like if that's
Yeah.
what's going to get them to eat the chicken, who
Hmm.
cares? And they should be having vegetables. They should be well, my kids won't eat that. Well, no, they won't because you
Hmm.
keep being a short order cook.
Mhm.
I also have had experiences which are positive where similar to what you said, Rima, at the beginning, where you just kept eating the healthy food in front of Olivia, and eventually they told me like, you know what, my kid was like, hey, can I have what you're having? And so she's like, now we eat the same things together. And it's become a bonding experience as well, where their kids are actually helping them meal prep. So I always try to encourage, if you're limited to time where you're like, how am I going to meal prep, work out, spend time with my kids? I'm like, why don't you do these things together with your children? Like go out, get your steps with your kids, do it as like a family activity, come home and like cook the meals together, get them to help you. And then it becomes a bonding experience, but over something positive. Similar to what Deb said with the dinner meals where they say like, oh, they're eating something different. I always suggest where they're like, oh, we had pasta and meatballs and, noodles. I'm like, well, why don't you make the same protein? If you're gonna, use the same sauce, put your stuff aside. And then if they have noodles, why don't you have zucchini noodles or edamame pasta instead, so that your meals look similar to them if they don't want to have that, especially at the beginning, making the transition. So it replicates it, but you're still feeling included in the meal as well.
Well, and Mal, it's a good point because your client that was noticing that the child or the children were joining in because it was coming from her. So we're actually giving our children too much power by thinking that they're not going to eat healthy. But if you're presenting it in a way, and they don't have to like everything either. My one of my clients who has lost a lot of weight, like over 60 pounds, she actually sent me a message, said, "Oh, I wish I could watch Rima tonight. I'll watch it in the reruns. My taekwondo. I follow her, and we feed our kids the same." And she said she will send me pictures and say, "Look, my son's eating the same lunch as me. Look, we're doing this. We're like." She homeschools him, so he's around her when they're making all the meals, and it's been seamless, you
I
know?
think for a lot of parents too, it's really about the way that we communicate about food to or in front of our children. And I always say, like, I've seen, friends of mine, for example, were at their house and kids are playing, and then there's like the counter is full of snacks or whatever treats, and the mom's like, I can't have that. I just started this cleanse, I just started this diet, like, oh, I can't eat that. And when your kids are hearing you say those things, like, I can't eat that, that means I want to eat that, but I'm not allowed to eat that. And then this trigger is like some kind of, it's like confusing for the child. So I always say, don't deprive yourself. If you want to have a slice of pizza, have a slice of pizza. If you want to go for ice cream, go for ice cream. But be very mindful of the way that you are speaking about food in front of your kid. Like, I don't say in front of my daughter, oh, I don't eat that because that makes you fat. I say, I love chicken because chicken has so much protein. And you know what protein does? And now she'll say, I know, mommy, it gives you big muscles. Right. And so when we change the way that we talk about food, this is what our kids are internalizing, and it's going to allow them to make better choices as they grow up into young adults and, want to live a healthy lifestyle for themselves. um, I'm also very against like diet food. I can't stand diet food, so that's not something that I promote. Like, 100 calories in this and it's filled with sugar, alcohols, or all kinds of toxic ingredients. I'm not about that stuff. I like things that are very natural, whole foods, real foods, that have very simple ingredients. And so that's what I look for if I am buying prepackaged snacks for my kid, is what is it made out of? And again, I've shared a lot of this on my social media. You can get like mango chips and banana chips that are so good. Like, I will eat them sometimes. And there's just mango and coconut oil, two very simple ingredients. But those are kind of things that I really look for when choosing foods for my child, and just trying to be like a really positive role model for her, because I think a lot of women have issues when it comes to nutrition and in not understanding, not knowing how to make the best choices, or, there's so much conflicting information out there that I don't want her to be confused as she grows into a young woman, and, trying all these different fad diets. And so I just think if we instill in them when they're young what it means to eat healthy and the importance of healthy eating, that will allow them to thrive when they are older.
If anybody has kids that are a little bit older and athletes, it's really important too that you teach your kids about the importance of nutrition if they're athletes. Uh, Mal was too. We were both high level gymnasts and gymnastics coaches. And kids that don't eat well, that don't get enough protein, that don't get enough healthy fats, are more susceptible to injuries. They don't recover as well. I mean, sleep is so important. I mean, I can't stress that enough. If your kid is not a good eater, or they're they just want to eat crap all the time, look at their sleep. Are they getting the requisite 7 to 9 hours every night? And that's something that I would tell the parents when I was a gymnastics coach. Like, she's yawning all the time. She needs to go to bed earlier, and she needs to be bringing better snacks, like not junk, not fruit roll-ups. She need like make
Well,
her
I
a tuna
think
sandwich.
I think too, if you think about it as adults, like think about what happens for some of you guys when you first started working with us and you detoxed from sugar. A lot of people experience withdrawals from like headaches. You were moody. As adults, you have a bit more control of your moods, but for kids, if they're eating processed foods like chicken fingers and fries, and having those things over time, their mood is going to be, up and down, and they're irritable, and maybe have more like short-tempered, can't focus. And it's not that they have necessarily an issue. It's just, look at what they're having. And so, as hard as it is to set those boundaries, as Rima and Deb have said, it obviously makes such a big difference, because look at, all of you who have set those boundaries for yourself and how much your mood has changed, and like your energy levels and your sleep as well. It's like, it's a cycle. And so I think, to their points, it's, super important to start with your kids, because you guys didn't get this opportunity. You started later in life to be able to make this change. So to be able to give that gift to your kids is something amazing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I think anybody who has kids will agree that when your kid has too much sugar, they turn into a psycho. Like, I don't even know how else to say it, but like, I know instantly sometimes, like if I go pick up my daughter from my mom's house and I'm like, oh, within 5 seconds, I'm like, yeah, she had way too much sugar. Like, I can tell they're absolutely insane. They cry for no reason. Like it's just chaos. Um, so, you know, and I know a lot of people, like I know ADD and ADHD, like these are diagnoses by the doctor. And I'm not going to say that, they're not real, or they're made up, but I do think that food is a huge contributing factor in how people can manage these issues. And, when I see these kids sometimes who they have ADHD and they're bouncing off the walls and they're throwing chairs and they're doing all of these things, and then you see what they're eating. And I always wonder, like, I wonder what would change if this kid was eating much healthier and not eating just packaged food and like processed junk food.
Yeah, like how much
As a,
protein is the kid getting before they go to school?
you
Are they
know,
getting
it
like the toaster waffles with
I'm
syrup on it?
I'm gonna say, like, recently I went on a school trip, and at lunch everybody sat down and had their lunch, and I'm like looking around because I'm nosy like that, and I'm like, oh my God. I was just blown away by all of the junk that I'm gonna say like 80% of the kids were eating.
And I don't think that parents can use the excuse, I work, I don't have a lot of time. You know what? I was a single mom for 2 kids, and I used to train 12 people in a row every day, 6 to 6, so that I
Like,
could
and
come home.
I
Like,
know there's also the, it eating healthy costs more, but when I look at
mm-hmm.
things like a McDonald's meal that's $20 now. $20. Can you guys believe that? I asked somebody the other day, I'm like, wow, it used to be $6 when I was a kid. But it's $20 for a McDonald's meal. That is a lot of money. And I think that if you're prepping your food, and you're, planning ahead, that you can get a lot more bang for your buck by eating healthy instead of stopping at McDonald's. So, I know sometimes people like to use these excuses of I don't have time, it costs a lot of money, but I think we really do what we want to do at the end of the day. And as parents, I just really want other moms and dads to make the best choices for their children, because, when a child is obese and they are growing into a young adult, like you're already setting them up for failure. And it really hurts my heart to see that. So
I'm coaching through LadyTheFUp a 16 year, well, he's 17 now, year old boy who was overweight. And I know his parents, and his parents were allowing him to just eat whatever he wanted. And he said, it was really cute. He goes, if anyone can get me into shape, it'll be Deborah. Like, she scares me. And he's completely changed the way because I keep saying to him, you want to be an athlete. You know, you need consistency. You need to do, and he has lost probably about 22 pounds and eating like he eats well over 2,000 calories a day, and he tracks it and he feels really good about himself. He just got invited to play on the some international basketball team for the summer. He's going to go down and compete, and he keeps when he gets down on himself, the first thing he says is, I just don't want to be that fat kid anymore. And I go, but you're not. You haven't been that fat kid the whole time we worked together. Like, so it's sad, you know? And the main thing that I can say that I did with him that his parents didn't do, because his parents are very smart and they're good people and they love him, is I've been consistent.
yeah,
So whatever you do, you have to be consistent. You
you have to
can't,
follow through.
yeah, you can't say we're going to eat like this and then all of a sudden be like, oh, who cares? Let's just go through a drive-through. No,
Mhm.
we're like, no, you're going to come home and you're going to be tired, and maybe that's the night you make scrambled eggs for dinner,
Yeah.
you know?
Always a better way, a healthier way. But if anybody has like questions about, healthy eating or ideas, snack ideas, meal ideas of what to feed your kid, follow me on Instagram or send me a message. I'm happy to share, tons of options that I choose for my daughter. Just last night, actually, I haven't posted them yet, but we I made her a dessert, and it was mashed banana, Greek yogurt, raw honey, cottage cheese, and I like blended it all up together. And then a scoop of, or like a little layer of dark chocolate. We froze them in like little rose ice cube trays, and they look so beautiful. And I didn't know if she was going to like it, but she ate it and she was like, Mommy, this is amazing. This is the best ice cream ever. And I was like, oh, okay, fantastic. And there's like nothing, there's a very thin layer of chocolate, but besides that, everything is super healthy. And I was like, great. So, going to be a little bit more creative. And I will share with everybody all of
But
my.
Rima, you know what you've done is you've developed her palate to not want that highly palatable food that just melts in your mouth, that's full of sodium, full of sugars, full of,
She still likes it, but
oh, yes, but
she doesn't get it very often.
every kid, my kids, when I used to pick them up from my mother-in-law's, my mother-in-law used to stuff them. They would throw up. Like they would throw up in the car. And
Yeah,
I was always like, great,
yeah.
you know, like, thank you.
You
Thank you
don't
for
have to be
stuffing them with
perfect.
brownies.
Like, yeah, you don't have to be perfect 100% of the time. Like I
No,
said, like I'm never going to deprive her. We go to the movies. You want to have like a pack of candy and some popcorn, of course, like have
but
it.
that's a treat. That's a
Yeah,
different thing.
yeah, very different. But day in and day out, I think we can do better and make better choices for our kids. But yeah, that's all that I wanted to share today. So thank you everyone for joining. If anyone has questions, send me a message on Facebook or Instagram. And yeah, thanks everyone for joining.